Hello, welcome to another episode of Modelers with Their Models. And I've got Kobey again. Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for having me again.
No worries, you're welcome. I'm BJ, and we're going to be looking at, what are we looking at?
We're looking at a P47 Bubbletop in 144 scale.
Wow, that's small, isn't it?
Another small one.
So you've been into the small stuff lately.
I have,
And-
admittedly.
Well, I mean, look, I understand why. You know, it's easy to handle. You know, in your current situation at the moment.
Yep.
You know, you still got the itch to build, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I love it. I think I mentioned before that it's just a really simple scale.
Yes.
Because it's so small.
Yes.
And manufacturers have gotten to a level where they can produce really fine detail in these scales with a really low part count.
Yeah.
And I can build on top of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was a really quick build for me.
So which kit is this?
This is an Eduard Platz kit.
Okay.
Again, another Eduard Platz.
Okay, so same as the other.
Same as the Focke-Wulf, yeah. So I got this out of the same packet that the D9 came in. It was in a blister pack.
Oh, right.
So it comes in that little plastic wrap sheet
Yes.
that hangs on a peg.
Yep.
And yeah, it comes with one kit, 4 schemes.
Right.
But as you can see, I haven't chosen to go with any of the schemes that come in the kit.
No, that's quite an original scheme. And I mean, you look at it and you think, well, it's a bare metal scheme.
Yes.
But then the whole centre of the fuselage is all black, including the canopy.
It's all black.
It's all
Why is
black.
the canopy black?
That's right. Tell us why. What is the background behind this finish?
This finish, it resembles a P47 that had a big oil leak. So I'm pretty sure it blew a piston on takeoff.
Right.
And the pilot managed to land it after a huge oil leak consumed the aircraft. So there's a couple of reference photos I went off.
Right.
And yeah, it's just a huge oil leak from the cowling all the way back to the tail, as per the image that I went off of.
Yes.
And there's a couple of like crude details in this, I suppose, because I haven't had the luxury of decals or masks for the certain emblems of the unit because it wasn't supplied in the kit.
Right. So that's all hand brush, is it?
That's hand painted.
That emblem.
That
Wow.
emblem, I used a decal just for the size. So
Oh, okay. As a guide.
yeah, as a guide, but there's
Right.
like not a single piece of decal left.
Right. So it's
showing.
all been fully painted over.
So that's supposed to resemble a red cat with 2 lightning bolts either side of it.
Oh, I can see it now.
And it's sitting on a cloud.
Well, bear in mind that
Like put your finger...
that is only like, what is it, 4 or 5 mil, right, in diameter,
Yeah, probably 4 mil.
with a cat in the middle of it.
And it's got a cat.
Yeah.
It'll look exact opposite to the other side.
Is it the cat's tail going up?
Yeah,
Is
that's the cat's tail.
Oh,
and it's
well,
got
see?
its little head with the 2 ears.
it? Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't use magnifying glasses when I build or anything. I just use my eyes.
Oh, that's pretty good. You're using your natural vision.
Yeah. So construction of this kit was like very, very easy. It comes with a couple more parts in the cockpit than the Focke-Wulf that I did.
Right.
It comes with a seat, the floor, and an instrument panel.
Yeah. Although it's difficult to see at the moment.
I didn't even paint the interior.
Well, it's covered in oil, so you
know.
won't see anything anyway, right?
So I'm pretty sure the way I painted the cockpit, I just used a couple coats of X1,
Right.
very, very thin,
Right. Like a wash.
like a wash. So it gives, it's kind of like bunched up in certain areas a
Right.
little more than others,
Yes.
which is fine because,
Well, I guess that's how oil looks anyway, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
transparent.
and it's like black oil. It's
Right.
like black oil. It is
Yes.
in a very dirty engine.
Yes.
And it's just given out and all the oil's gone straight back to the tail as it's flying.
Yes.
Um,
Well, as I've got on this vision from the top camera, so we can see all those, the flow of the oil near the wing root.
yes.
I mean, that's quite amazing. So you use the photos to
Yeah.
help you with that.
Yeah, I got the photo here if you'd like to see.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So this is the photo of the original aeroplane.
Okay, let me just focus in on that. Hang on.
So as you can see, that's all the oil dripping
Oh,
down.
yes.
That's the pilot. His pants were.
He's
all
covered in
oiled
oil
up.
as well. Yep.
I've
Oh,
tried to
okay.
resemble-
So you can see around the cowling how you've gotten that flow and the drip.
Yep.
drip effect. And
Yep.
you've just brush painted that on.
I've just brush painted that on with
Right.
a like water-based acrylic. I'm
Right,
pretty
okay.
sure. With my wet palette that we were talking about in the last episode
Yes.
as well. So there's that, and then this is a colorized photo. So as you can see,
Oh,
there's
wow.
the
Yes.
emblem at the front that I've
There's a cat
done
with the bolts.
With the cat with the bolts.
Yes.
And on the tail,
Yeah.
there's an A, and I just hand painted that with like an orangey color.
Oh, did you? This looks pretty straight.
Yeah, it's all right. Like in this, the thing is with this scale,
Yeah.
you can kind of get away with stuff.
Right.
And I'm not here to win awards, you know.
Because
I'm
when
just
we
here to
have a
have
look
fun.
closer, let's have a look at that A, right? I reckon that's pretty straight.
It's like okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good,
If
I
you're
reckon.
gonna put a microscope on it, you're gonna
Well, it is sort of microscope now, right? But at least we can see all your brush strokes, right?
yeah.
You know, and then over here, you can even see down the bottom here with how it's streamed with the airflow, right?
And from the exhaust as well up the front, it's all the way come through there.
Oh, right, okay.
Um,
Yeah, there you go. Well,
But-
that's a lot of like extra detail you've been able to put in.
mm,
Even here, so you've got those soot marks from the
yeah,
cartridge.
that's
What do you call those? The cartridge exit points.
Yeah, just the ejection ports.
Right.
Cartridge ejection ports. And then it has the hard points for the, I think they had 100 kilo bombs or rockets.
Oh,
on the
okay.
wings.
Right next to the undercarriage there.
Yeah. So I've got that, and
Yeah.
then it has the huge, what is it, like 100-gallon tank,
Right.
200-gallon tank on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Okay.
I'm surprised he didn't jettison it once he had an oil leak. He chose to land with it.
Right.
But yeah, that's as per the photo, and the propeller comes off. So we'll have a look in the engine
Oh, right.
if we can.
Right.
But I don't know. I was kind of happy with that. I just brush painted the whole thing. I used zinc chromate on the bottom portion where the oil coolant system goes, and then the radial just has a baby blue front to it,
Yeah.
and then the red, the iron part for all of the pistons.
I think it looks really good. So the silver part of it was airbrush, was it?
Yes, yeah. So the way I painted it
Yeah.
was in a weird sequence.
Right.
I primed the whole thing with Mr. Surfacer 1500
What colour was that?
black.
Black. Right.
And then I did a gloss coat of GX100.
Right.
So the whole thing was really black and shiny.
Yes.
And then I masked off the oil leak, the initial oil leak. So all this
Right,
really...
the large area.
Yeah, the whole large area. I masked that off.
Right.
And I sprayed silver. I sprayed LP11, I believe it is.
Okay. Yes.
So it's a lacquer paint.
Yes. That's come out really nicely.
Yeah, very durable. It's a very nice paint. It sticks really well to GX100, and it has a more glossy appearance with that as a base. And then I peeled that back and I started working on all of the little oil leaks.
Yes.
I did some decals,
Yes.
whatever there's left to see,
Yeah.
like the stars and bars, the little number ports on the gun
guns?
bays,
Yeah.
bays. So yeah, it was relatively simple to paint. I just hand painted the anti-glare on the front as well.
Yep, the green part, yes.
Yeah, you can kind of see that, but
Oh, I think it looks okay.
it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine. They probably, were worn, you know, like that, and had different shades and sun baking and whatnot. So
No, I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
you know,
I mean, for this particular scale, I think it still looks really clean.
yeah,
I mean, we're talking, what, 5 centimeter wingspan type of thing, right?
yeah. If you were to put it in the hand,
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah, there you
is
go.
like
That
how
gives you
big it's
an
going to be.
idea.
It just fits, and the P47 is a really large aeroplane.
It's chunky, right?
It's a really large airplane. If you compare it to other fighters of its era,
Mm.
it was super large. It had a beefy engine, and that just fits into the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it looks really good.
so yeah, and then I moved on to weathering. So I would consider weathering just the washes
Yep.
and the pigments and making the soot, because I used painting techniques to do the oil stains.
Yes.
So I just came in. Obviously, the main attraction of the piece is the black oil. So I didn't want to put a black wash on it.
No.
So I just went with the Tamiya brown.
Yep.
And made a couple of scuff marks and whatnot.
Yes.
On the wing areas near the gun bay ports,
Mm.
up where the crew would be walking.
Yeah, I think the brown contrast works really well.
Works nice. It's not as
Yeah,
harsh
yeah.
as black.
No, sometimes the black is too harsh, right?
Yes, and in
Yeah.
this scale, it definitely would look too harsh.
Mm.
I think I mentioned previously.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got the panel lines coming on the sides as well, where
Yes.
the oil is actually covered.
so on this side, you can see
Yes.
in those panel lines, there's like a grey.
Yes.
And I'm really against on regular aircraft, like if you have a green and a light grey,
Mm.
if someone uses like a grey on the green and a black on the grey,
Yeah.
especially in 48, it
Yeah.
just doesn't look real. You can see that edge when it changes
Yeah.
with that weathering effect.
Yeah.
But for this, in the actual reference photos,
Yes.
the oil started to seep away from the areas of those panels, the panel
Right.
lines. So I used a grey panel wash to mimic the oil leaving those areas that are recessed. And I think in this scale, it doesn't need to be metallic. I think the grey just gives the idea.
It does.
Of
It gives
what's
the
happening.
impression already, yeah. And it's definitely noticeable, but it's not, like you say, overpowering.
No, it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
I think it did what I wanted it to do.
Mm.
It isn't actually like an oil wash either. I used a grey pigment that I had and mixed it with enamel thinners.
So when you say pigment, you mean dry pigment and mix it with some enamel.
A dry pigment. So
Okay.
it's the Mr. Hobby pigment that
Right.
comes in the 3-pack for weathering armoured vehicles.
Right.
So you get a rust, a black, and a grey.
Right.
And I thought, let's give it a try. You know, let's make a wash out of this. So I mixed it with enamel thinners.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good decision because the pigment is so coarse in those dry pigments that
Yeah.
it didn't fully bond with the enamel thinner. So I'd have to mix it, and then as soon as it had like mixed in,
Yeah.
I'd apply it,
Yeah.
and the pigment would set into the recesses.
Right.
So it doesn't wipe off like a more liquidy pigment,
Yes.
like if I were to use a enamel paint thin
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
So once it dried, I'm essentially just wiping away the pigment,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
dust.
dry is,
the dry pigment.
yeah, yeah.
So it stayed in the recesses easier.
Right.
And it's stuck in there easier.
Okay. So same sort of idea, but a different approach.
Different approach.
Yeah, it looks really, really convincing.
Very shiny.
Mm.
Very shiny aeroplane.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So you've done well, I think.
Yeah, and the only thing I scratch built was the little pitot tube
Yeah.
out of guitar string.
Yeah. That's handy
Yeah,
stuff, isn't it?
You cannot go wrong with some guitar string.
No. But it really adds to it.
Yeah, it's thin.
Yeah.
If I were to correct one thing,
Yeah.
it'd be the antenna.
Okay,
It's just
that's a
so
bit chunky, is
thick.
it? Yeah.
It's so thick. It's like a big subway. It's like a big subway sticking up out of the,
Oh, well.
the fuselage.
Oh, it's always going to be a challenge, isn't it, with small stuff to get
Yeah.
it all right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really good. Excellent. Well, thanks for talking about your model.
Thank you for having me again.
No worries. It's been educational.
Yeah, cheers.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
guys.
for joining us.